Gentlemen, thank you for giving us some insight here of what it was like inside the courtroom, those palpable moments, but also here outside the courtroom as we all waited to hear whether or not Richard Allen was guilty. Again, the jury handing down that verdict earlier this afternoon. In the meantime, outside of this courthouse, we also saw so many members of the community in the same way that they were holding signs, having symbols of the ribbons around the pillars here in the favorite colors of the girls. We saw them here standing together, often in unity, waiting for the verdict as well. Now, even with the division that we have seen where some people perhaps siding with Richard Allen, the majority of those we saw earlier today were in support of these two girls and wanted to see justice for them as well. And speaking to them throughout the day has been Michael Van Schoik. He picks up our coverage.
For the last several weeks, people living in Delphi have come out to the Carroll County Courthouse on an almost daily basis, following this case as closely as they could. And today, some 40 to 50 people stood on the other side of the courthouse, patiently waiting for a verdict, hoping that Richard Allen would be found guilty. And tonight, he was found guilty. And now those living in Delphi have gone home feeling a sense of peace and justice.
Now the healing has to begin.
The people of Delphi have waited nearly 8 years for answers, and as the word guilty echoed out on the stairs of the Carroll County Courthouse, a great feeling of relief also rang out.
Today is the day. Today is actually feels like that day. And if you can take any message away from here, please take it that this town is filled full of good people.
They were the victims, and we were victims also with it. We want to be released just as well as Abby and Libby. They're free now. They are free. And again, today is their day, and we've been saying it for years. Endless nights of sleep, we can now say that this is justice.
It took 4 days and nearly 19 hours for jurors to reach a verdict, and with each passing day, those following the case closely started wondering if they ever would.
As time went on, I kind of thought we might be going toward a hung jury, just because if you're not hearing anything, you kind of wonder maybe there's a deadlock. Obviously, that's not at all what happened here. Podcasters,
local newspaper reporters, and members of the public attending the trial described the jury as very deliberate and intentional. Anya Kane with the Murder Sheet podcast says Richard Allen's confessions are likely what led the jury to ultimately convict him of Abby and Libby's murders.
Richard Allen's detailed confession to a psychologist in which he mentioned a white van. So that basically is a concrete anchoring point where he's saying, I saw this, and then the prosecution was able to produce the driver of the van along with timestamps showing he would have been driving that way that day. At the same time, just the basic fact that Richard Allen was consistently putting himself everywhere where Bridge Guy was cited was going to be something that was going to be difficult for him to overcome.
Inside the courtroom Monday afternoon, witnesses say Allen showed very little emotion when the jury read its verdict.
Richard Allen, very stoic. You know, he looked straight ahead. When the verdicts were read, never really, his face never changed, his facial expressions never changed.
Now, all these years later, the Delphi community now feels its own sense of closure.
I've been seeing miracles happen, and I still believe they happen.
This town had a lot of love that was waiting for this day, and we are one again. Tonight we'll be able to go to sleep knowing that we're all safe again, knowing that we can ask and look at one another again in the hands of love and help.
There's a bit of a stillness in the air tonight as the streets here in Delphi have cleared, but on December 20th, when Richard Allen will be sentenced, many of those people will be back out here patiently awaiting his sentencing. For now, in Delphi, Michael Van Schoik, Fox 59 News.